Welcome back, everyone. We are diving into Barrell Bourbon's 3 new private releases. So Barrell Bourbon, as you guys know, they have, obviously, they are the masters of blending, right? They take whiskey, they source it, they blend it together, and it's always typically fantastic. But one cool thing about Barrell is that they have so many different, they have like the gray label, which is like always like the older, more vintage age stuff. They have like their standard products, but then they have these, what we refer to as like their private label or private releases, if you will, as a whole. Typically either blue or orange, they're private releases. So these are 3 new ones that are coming out. So we have 3 new ones. We have, this one here is whiskey finished in ruby port barrels. This is DJ X2. We have whiskey finished in St. Agrestis, Brooklyn Amaro Cask, all right? And last but not least, we have a blend of straight bourbons ranging anywhere from 5 years to 14 years. So we're going to dive into these 3 today. Thanks again, by the way, I should say, Barrell, for sending over these samples. I poured them so they can have a chance to kind of air out a little bit. And let's start here in the middle. Let's start with, which one is this one? This is the St. Agrestis, Brooklyn Amaro Cask. So as a whole, this is a blend of different whiskeys finished in this Brooklyn Amaro cask. This one's coming in at 123.22 proof. And when you think about just Amaro cask as a whole, so Amaro is an Italian liquor. It's pretty much known for having like very much notes of like either like some vanilla, some bitter orange, and then even like a lot of notes of like a licorice notes as well. There's no age statement with this one, so we don't have an exact age, but we do know it's distilled in Kentucky and Indiana. All right, let me get into this one real quick. And probably actually for all 3 of these, they're all, like most Barrell products, anywhere from $95 to like $100, depending on what state you live in, plus or minus a few bucks, as well as taxes as well. All right. Whiskey finished in Amaro cask. Woo, I don't know. Let's see how it is. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can definitely, geez. On the nose, tons of spice, tons of like, oh yeah, that licorice, like almost like a licorice note, like a black licorice, peppery, vanilla. That Amaro is coming through major, and I mean major, big time in the whiskey. Wow. Oh my goodness. You're not getting your traditional, even like bourbon or whiskey notes as a whole. No caramel, no brown sugar. None of that. I mean, this is like pure Amaro. Very peppery, very minty, tons of licorice. All right, this is going to be very interesting. Again, coming in at 123.22 proof. This is the blend called DJ-A2. So this is actually the second release. They did another release of this a while ago, but this is DJ-A2. So the second release of this one. But my first time trying any from this release as a whole. All right, here we go. Cheers, everybody. Woo! Ooh, that has a little kick to it. Definitely a little bit spicy for sure. What I will say, everything in the nose transfers to the palate. I will say the only thing though that's different in the palate, and the finish is a nice long finish. It is again coming in at 123.22 proof, so it's definitely very bold and vibrant. What's in the palate that I didn't get in the nose is almost like, which kind of makes sense with the Amaro. There's like that almost like a burnt orange peel kind of a note in the palate. But the palate and the finish had a ton of pepper, a ton of like the burnt orange peel, and a lot, and I mean a lot of like licorice as well. A ton of it. So, you say, Judge, keep it real for me each and every day. Please keep it real. Is this a buy, a do not buy, or is it a split decision? The vote is in. Oh, no, judgment. Judgment is in. The judgment is in. This is a do not buy. Here's the reason why. Let me be crystal clear. Number one, it's not a do not buy because the whiskey is not good. This is actually a do not buy because of my personal preference. This is one where, if you love, truly, if you love a ton of like licorice, a ton of pepper, a ton of mint in a whiskey, then you would actually probably like this. So maybe try it at a bar, try it at a friend's house. But for me, for my palate, it's way too peppery, way too minty, and way too much licorice in whiskey. I don't mind if there's like a subtle note of like a licorice in a whiskey, but not being overpowered. And for me, the Amaro in this bad boy is just way overpowered. So for me, this one remains a do not buy. I'm sorry, it is what it is. That's a do not buy all day for me personally. But again, if you love licorice, you might love this bad boy. All right, I got to move on because I am not a big licorice fan. A little subtle note, sure, but not that much. Wow. All right, let's see where we can go from here. What do we have next? All right, so this is the first release. This is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. Whiskeys distilled in Tennessee, probably Dickel, Kentucky, and Indiana. Again, Indiana more than likely MGB. So this is GXA1. GXA1. This comes in, so the ages on this bad boy. 75% of this is 5-year whiskey or 5-year bourbon. 15% of this is 7-year bourbon. 5% is 9-year bourbon. And 5% is 14-year bourbon. So again, a blend anywhere from 5 to 14 year, but majority 5. And this is coming in at exactly 119.94 proof. All right, let me pour a little bit more. I didn't pour as much in this one as I wanted to. So get a smidge more, just a little bit more. All right, so this is the first release of this bad boy. So, and this is the orange label, as you can see. Also, again, about $100, as most of these are. Typically, most barrel products are typically about $100. The nose on this is very nice. This is like a good blend of like caramel, some apples, definitely some honey, a smidge of orange. This is very, very nice on the nose. And there's almost like a note of like, what's that in the background there? That's interesting. Huh. It's almost like a note of like some peaches in the background, which is very odd. Yeah, caramel, some apples, some honey, and a smidge of like almost like a peach note in the background. Very much hidden in the back. Wow, very nice nose. All right. Hey, real quick, friends. 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know if you haven't tried any of these. If you have tried them, let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't, what are your thoughts on barrel products as a whole? Last but not least, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All right, my friends. Cheers. Here we go. Oh, this is nice. This is really nice. Let me get a little bit more. What is the proof on this one? Ooh, that's a little hot. 119.94. That's why. Cheers. I actually like that a lot. Wow. That's very nice. So, a couple things. Everything from the nose matches the palate, like identical matches, right? Pure identical. That, my friends, if you ask Judge if I'm going to buy it, which of these am I going to buy thus far? Because obviously that was a do not buy. But for this one, this GXA1, woo, I like that a lot. That is a definite buy. What I loved about that one is that, you know, this is not, there's no finish to this one. For this one here, it's just a blend of 4 different bourbons, aging anywhere from 5 to 14 years. But what's really unique is like that subtle note of like a peach note. It was in the nose and it was in the palate, and it finishes very nice and sweet. I like that. Not a ton left in this, but this will definitely go very well with the cigar. All right, on to the last of the 3 here. Number 3. So this one is whiskey finish and ruby port barrels, and this was distilled in Kentucky and Indiana. This is DJX2. So this is the second release because they did this one before as DJX1, but this is DJX2, the second release. So this one coming in at 123.9 proof. Now, I will say for both of these in the blue label, we didn't have an age statement, so we don't know, A, number one, the age of the whiskey, and B, how long it spent time, in this case, in the ruby port, or even for this one, how long it spent time in the Amaro Cask. So we don't have that, unfortunately, but we do know that, at least for this one here, it was finished in a ruby port barrel. So we pour a little bit more. Again, same price point, that $95, $100 range as a whole. All right. Let's get into the nose for this one real quick. Okay, all right. As you would expect, tons of blackberries, maybe even like some plum notes, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of leather, kind of mixed in, and a smidge of pepper. So definitely a little bit of peppery, a little bit like some plum notes, some blackberry, some caramel. All right, kind of mixing, not bad at all. The nose on this is okay. It's not great. The nose on that was fantastic. Let's see how this one is. DJ X2. I love the names, by the way. I give Joe and team over at Barrell credit. I love all the different names and the different expressions. So what's cool about them is that when they do their private releases, they are testing out just different, different types of finishes, different types of blends. And I love just the craftiness, if you will. I like that. The craftiness that Barrell puts into their effort. So I love that. Tons of great effort. All right. Cheers, everybody. Oh yeah. Ooh, spicy too. What's this one? 123.9 proof. Oh yeah, that's a little bit of fire to it. All right, let me go again one more time with this one. Hold on. All right. What's interesting? Number one, this had a very long finish. What's interesting about this is that while you got a lot of like the traditional notes of what a port finish whiskey had in the nose, that didn't really transfer to the palate, oddly enough. The palate, the port part of the like the port finishing in the palate kind of faded away, and the finish was more traditional, just straight bourbon notes, like the caramel, the oak, the leather, like the pepper as well. But I didn't get all the fruit that I had in the nose. I didn't get it in the palate. Very odd. So, Judge, give me a decision. Am I buying this? Am I leaving it on the shelf? What is your verdict and why? The verdict on DJ X2 is in. That, my friends, is a split decision. I'm going to say I like this a lot. I was expecting that port finish to make it extremely well-rounded and to get all those notes in the nose and for them to transfer into the palate as well. The palate, the port part of it kind of fell off, oddly enough. But I still do think it's really good quality whiskey. It's one I would say, try it at a bar, try it at a friend's house. You might honestly end up loving it because it is really good quality whiskey. It just doesn't embody the port elements that I thought it would have. It was there in the nose, just wasn't there in the finish. So, kind of recapping, DJ X2, split decision. DJ A2, the Amaro Cask, this is a no buy for the judge. And last but not least, GXA1, a blended of bourbon whiskeys blended together. This is a definite buy. Hey, my friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and most important, salute.